straight, hands up. Let me see those hands, where they are. Right. Now I want you to sit up. Nice and tall. Let me see that spine of yours. Make sure you're seated in a nice chair with good lumbar support. Sit up nice and straight. Nice and straight. You know, a lot of people who've lost don't even know what kind of spine they have because they're not sitting up straight and in a good chair. And if you can't find a chair that works, then stand up. Stand there all bloody day long. Are you hearing me? All day. Stand there. Up straight. Let me see that lovely spine of yours. Now, that you're in a position. That's good. Let's work on our breathing. I'm watching you. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. Just relax. Make sure your chair is up high enough so that your knees can go below your waist. Knees below your waist. Knees below your waist. Knees below your waist. Knees. You want to make sure you have a nice healthy back and good knees, or else you'll be paying for them years and years later. So you want to make sure that these areas have a nice time so they're not overworked when sitting in crappy chairs. So make sure you're sitting in a good chair and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Make sure to breathe all the way down into your tummy, right into your belly, down low, and out through your mouth. Now that you're nice and relaxed, we're in a relaxed position now, we're going to be taking a look at true crime cars. We're going to be unveiling these true crime cars now on this episode here. But we want to make sure that we're not going to damage any of the cards. So we're going to use special gloves for it. Now see here. Now. Make sure you wear the appropriate handwear for it. This is original true crime package here for cards. Yeah. We're unveiling it now. We have them. First one we have here is Janine Jones. Janine Jones was born in 1950 and raised in San Antonio, Texas. She trained as a nurse, married in her 20s, and supported herself and her children by working as a licensed vocational nurse. Due to her interest in children, she was assigned to infant care. Friends and co-workers gave varying descriptions of Jones. She was an excellent nurse, recalled one. She was difficult to work with, claimed another. An old friend remembered Jones as loving and kind, while an associate expressed grave concerns about her odd behavior. That behavior, turned out, included torturing and murdering her infant charges. In May 1981, the San Antonio County Hospital Pediatric Intensive Care Unit experienced an epidemic of mysterious emergency code blue, the term hospitals use for a crisis situation. Was a daily occurrence. The children were sometimes saved, but more often their lives were lost. The nurse in charge was always Janine Jones. The deaths continued unabated until November 1981, when Jones took a medical leave of 1 month. LAX hospital officials failed to notice that during Jones' absence no children died unexpectedly and not one code blue situation occurred. Jones returned to work and the code blue emergencies began again. The carnage continued until March 1982, by which time nearly 30 children had died and many more had been traumatized in near-death situations. Hospital officials terminated Jones' employment, but incredibly gave her a favorable review, which led to 3 more deaths at a new hospital. In the summer of 1982, Jones was finally caught and convicted. She was sentenced to life in prison. There you have it. Janine Jones, the nurse killer. There she is. Have a good look at her. Next one we have here is Arnfinn Nassett. Arnfinn Nassett was an illegitimate child born in Norway in 1937. He often felt inadequate and suffered fears of rejection. He made new friends, keeping to himself, and never married. His demeanor was quiet and unassuming. In 1977, Nassett took a position as a manager of a nursing home in Norway. During his 4 years there, 30 elderly patients of both sexes died. This was an unusually high mortality rate, even for a rest home. Also unusual was Nassett's purchase, early in his employment, of enough of the muscle relaxant circuit to kill 200 people. Nassett claimed he wanted the drug to put his sick dog to sleep, but he had no pets. Suspecting something wrong, others at the home decided to call in the authorities. Nassett was arrested in 1981 and confessed to 27 murders. maintaining that his intent was to ease the pain of the elderly. There was no other apparent motive for the killings, for although Nisset had embezzled small amounts of money from patients, he donated the funds to charity. Yet his explanation of euthanasia seemed unreal. Circuit kills painfully and slowly. It is a particularly unsuitable drug with which to bring a merciful end to a terminal illness or an incurable condition. Psychiatrists found Nesset both sane and cooperative, and speculated that he killed to feel powerful and in control. They theorized that long the unnoticed underdog, he relished playing God. The mild-mannered Nesset was found guilty of 21 murders and sentenced to 21 years of incarceration, the maximum sentence allowed under Norwegian law. 1 year for every life taken. He is proven to be a mortal prisoner. Next up we have here Howard Unruh. Howard Unruh, born in 1921, the son of estranged parents. He lived with his mother and seldom saw his father. He served in the artillery during World War II, returned home to Camden, New Jersey, and decided to study pharmacy. Quiet and unobtrusive, he dated, but didn't really care for it. Unruh believed that people purposely tried to annoy him, talked about him amongst themselves, and just had it easy compared to him. So he tried to build a wall around the family's home, practiced target shooting in the basement, and kept detailed accounts of the insults he had suffered. On September 6, 1949, Unruh's hidden rage exploded. He woke early, dressed in his best clothes, and armed himself. At 9:15 he narrowly missed when he tried to stab his mother. She ran away and Unruh went outside, where he walked from shop to shop, killing local merchants. He shot the shoemaker dead at point-blank range, went into the barber shop and killed several people with a .45, then shot the insurance man with a German Luger outside the drugstore. The druggist shouted a warning to his family upstairs, but to the four in the house, only the druggist's 12-year-old son escaped death. Unruh moved outside again, killed a truck driver, and wounded a teenager and a young woman. The streets were nearly empty by then, but he found 2 women and a child in a stopped car, shot them dead, and wounded several others. When Unruh hid in the house, police surrounded it and used tear gas to force his surrender. Asked why he had killed 13 people in as many minutes, he said, "They were picking on me." He was found insane and committed to Trenton State Hospital, where he remains. Here we have it, the bloody Cicero election of 1924. In 1923, John E. Torrio, with the help of Cook County Sheriff Pete Hoffman, installed a small brothel in Cicero, a suburb west of Chicago. Torrio and the O'Donnell gang split the Cicero bootlegging franchise, protected by local political boss Eddie Vogel. Chicago had a reform mayor and a reform police chief, Morgan A. Collins, so incorruptible he refused a $100,000 bribe from Torrio. All things were going well in Cicero, so Torrio and Capone moved their headquarters there, buying the Hawthorne Inn and installing bulletproof shutters. In 1924, the Cicero Democrats decided to run a reform slate against Vogel, who offered Cicero as an open town to Capone and Torrio in return for help with his campaign. Capone borrowed 200 mobsters from his Chicago allies and invaded Cicero on the eve of the election. The gangsters wreaked havoc, slugging Democratic voters, stealing ballot boxes, kidnapping election clerks, and harassing voters. The reformed candidate for town clerk was assaulted and his office demolished. County Court Judge Edmund Jericho deputized 70 Chicago cops and sent them to restore order. Mobsters and law officers battled all afternoon. Around nightfall, a Chicago police squad pulled up at a polling place where, with guns drawn, Al Capone, his brother Frank, and Charlie Fischetti were intimidating voters. The cops piled out of their unmarked car. Frank Capone whirled to fire and was cut down with shotgun blasts. Al Capone fled. It was a bloody ending to a successful campaign. Vogel won, and Cicero was soon home to 150 gambling dens loyal to Capone. There you have it, the bloody Cicero elections. Next up here we have Charles Schmidt. Charles Howard Schmidt, born in 1942. 22-year-old Charles Howard Schmidt seemed a normal Tucson, Arizona college student who excelled at sports, especially gymnastics. Although intelligent and handsome, he felt inadequate and was deeply disturbed that at 5'3" he was below average in height. Hoping to present a more virile appearance, he wore oversized cowboy boots stuffed with newspapers to make himself taller, dyed his hair black, and created a false mole on his face with putty and grease. He wanted desperately to be noticed. In 1964, he and two friends, Mary French and John Saunders, enjoyed a typical night of drinking and cruising. Schmidt expressed his long-felt hidden desire to kill a girl, and so the three picked up a 15-year-old acquaintance. The friends drove to a secluded spot where Mary and John watched Schmidt first rape and bludgeon the teenager to death. The following year, Schmidt's 17-year-old girlfriend and a hungrier sister disappeared. Schmidt openly boasted of their murders and showed the bodies of the strangled girls to a friend. Horrified and believing his own life was in danger, the friend reported Schmidt to the police. In 1965, Schmidt, French, and Saunders were arrested for turning state's evidence. French received a 5-year sentence and Saunders received life imprisonment. Schmidt got a 55-year prison term for the first murder and death sentences. Altered to life in prison for the Supreme Court overturned the death penalty for the subsequent killings. In 1972, he and a fellow inmate escaped and held 4 people hostage on a ranch near Tempe, Arizona. Recaptured, Schmidt was stabbed to death in prison in 1975. So we got Vito Genovese. Vito Genovese was born in Italy, 1897. He came to the U.S. in 1913, soon a gunman for Mafia chief Ignazio Lupo the Wolf Scialla. When Scialla went to prison for counterfeiting, Genovese worked for Lupo's second-in-command, Joe the Boss Masseria. Genovese ran a protection racket in Queens and advocated the mob's expansion into narcotics trafficking. He was close to Masseria's top lieutenant, Charles Lucky Luciano. Genovese was one of Messina's favorite hitmen. In fact, he was so lightly skilled that he was enlisted by Luciano as one of the assassins who killed Messina in 1931. His reward was a seat on the board of directors of the new crime syndicate formed by Messina's rival, Salvatore Maradona, was also executed. Genovese married his second wife in 1932, after her husband was mysteriously strangled 12 days earlier. The couple celebrated with a honeymoon in Italy, where Genovese developed a strong relationship with Benito Mussolini's fascist government. In 1934, Genovese killed small-time Brooklyn hood Ferdinand the Shadow Boccia. In 1937, Special Prosecutor Thomas Dewey, having convicted Luciano, picked Genovese as his next target. Genovese fled to Italy, where he became chief drug supplier for Mussolini's son-in-law and foreign minister Count Ciano. He even had an expatriate enemy of Mussolini's killed in New York. When Mussolini fell, Genovese became a U.S. Army interpreter, helping capture black marketeers. He was later jailed for his own black marketing and extradited to the U.S. for the Boccia slaying, but beat the murder rap and returned to his role as a New York gang leader. We got Vito Genovese. We got Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper. In 1888, an anonymous killer took the lives of 5 English prostitutes and forever became the symbol of evil and murder. The enigma began when a prostitute, known to be an alcoholic, was found with her throat slit on August 31st. Police determined she had not put up a struggle. On her lower abdomen were several ragged wounds. The next victim was found mutilated about the lower body. Next came a double murder in which the first victim suffered no mutilations, but the second did. Police theorized the killer had been interrupted during the first crime and had therefore committed the second. The last murder occurred on November 9th. The victim was found in a room which opened onto a back alleyway and was mutilated so as to be unrecognizable. At this point, the serial killing ceased, never to be resumed. London police interviewed many possible witnesses and traced the movements of the victims prior to their deaths. By almost all witness accounts, the perpetrator was said to be in his 30s, 5'5", of medium build with broad shoulders, fair-skinned, with dark hair and a full mustache. Yet police could not locate him. Scotland Yard investigated several suspects, but none were charged. There are Montague John Druitt, who was said to suffer from sexual insanity and drowned himself days after the last murder, Michael Ostrog, a Russian known for his violent behavior, and Aaron Kosminski, a schizophrenic Jew who soon vanished. Speculation later surfaced concerning His Royal Highness Prince Albert Victor, called Eddie, a grandson of Queen Victoria, who later died of syphilis. The actual killer has never been identified. Next up here we have the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency was created by the National Security Act of 1947 to oversee intelligence activities of the USA. Though most of the CIA activities involve foreign intelligence, the agency does coordinate with the FBI on internal affairs. It is one of the 6 executive agencies that reports directly to the President. The current director, William Webster, was appointed by President Ronald Reagan in 1987. President George Bush was director of the CIA until 1977. Here we have the USS John F. Kennedy. Though commissioned in modern times, 1968, the USS John F. Kennedy has 4 steam turbines and 8 boilers that are fired by fossil fuel instead of nuclear power. During Operation Desert Storm, the carrier was positioned in the Red Sea, launching her full complement of fighter bombers against military targets in Iraq. Home port is in Norfolk, Virginia. The B-52 Stratus Forces. For more than 30 years, the heart of the Strategic Air Command, the B-52 is a long-range heavy bomber that can fly at altitudes up to 50,000 feet. With the use of aerial refueling, the Stratofortress can stay in the air almost indefinitely. More than 250 B-52s remained in readiness throughout the Air Command, and 48 flew hundreds of sorties during Operation Desert Storm. Or here, the F-4G Wild Weasel. An evolution of the F-4 Phantom II, the F-4G is responsible for suppressing enemy radar sites. It does this by detecting and analyzing hostile radar signals. When a target is acquired, a high-speed anti-radiation missile is launched to destroy the enemy site. Once the F-4G has destroyed enemy radars, other aircraft fulfill their objectives. We're talking about military time. Most European countries and the U.S. Armed Forces use the 24-hour system of counting hours. The military calls noon 1200, midnight is 2400 at one day, or 0 the following day. An AM hour remains the same in either military time or customary time, but is said differently. For example, 5 a.m. is 0500. To translate PM hours from military time, subtract 1200 and add PM. For example, 1400 is 2 p.m. Something to keep in mind there. Libya. Not sure if you've been there, but Libya has only 1% arable land, but is blessed with oil. Its major export, principal trading partners include Italy, Germany, and France. Libya has the reputation of being a supporter of radical Palestinian groups. During the 1980s, relations with the United States were very hostile. Libya is a member of the United Nations and OPEC. It has not taken an active role in Operation Desert Storm. Collect, report information, military skill. When soldiers are on patrol, they are to report anything of interest to their leader. U.S. Army Rangers remember how and what to report using the letters of the word salute. Size, activity, location, unit, time, and equipment. So a few things for you to be keeping an eye on as you're out there. But remember to kind of breathe and sit up straight so everyone can see that lovely spine of yours.